Welcome back, everybody. In today's video, I'm going to take you on a tour of every single one of the Monteros that I own right now, because I own 7 of them. I've been collecting Monteros, I've been building them, I've been fixing them up for years now, and I wanted to take this video because right now, like I said, I have 7 of them, and this might be the last time that I have all 7 of these cars in the same place. So I'm going to take you on a brief tour of every single one of them, the modifications I've done, all the things I like about them, some of the things I'd change about them, and I'm going to start with the newest one, my 2003 Mitsubishi Montero. All right, so this is my newest one. This is the 2003, and this is actually the one that started it all. My wife and I bought this about 7 or 8 years ago, and I had never heard of a Montero. My friend sent me a couple pictures and said, you got to check these out. They're kind of like a Land Cruiser, but they're way cheaper, and I got this. I picked this thing up bone stock, and I taught myself almost everything I know about cars and Monteros on this platform. So this has taken a lot of different forms, and this has been something that I've kind of built as I went. I taught myself how to do pretty much everything on this. And so I bought it. I immediately started figuring out wheels and tires. I wanted to look into lift kits. I taught myself how to do things like make skid plates working on a mill. I taught myself how to weld bumpers and sliders. I taught myself how to re-gear, how to do motor work. So many firsts were on this car, and I learned a lot. I've had about 20 lift kits on this car. Some were really small changes, like just moving a spacer up and down. Some were changing spacers altogether. Some were completely different brands. I taught myself so much as I learned what worked and what didn't. And so this has been a slow build as I've went through it. I've got a couple different videos on this if you want to check out more about it. But right now, as it sits, it's on about a 2-inch Old Man Emu lift. I went over that in a recent video. I'm running 35-inch tires on some Toyota 5th Gen 4Runner wheels. I really like the way this works right now. It's got 4.9 gears. I recently rebuilt the entire motor. It's got a front bumper that I custom made and sliders that I've custom made, along with skid plates all the way back, including the gas tank skid. I've deleted the rear climate control so I don't have to hit that anymore. And this thing has been an awesome adventure rig for me and my family. If you come around over here, the roof rack has stayed mostly the same. We've got an awning on the top, we've got some lights, a high lift jack. That's been really good. On the interior, this build was one that I experimented with a lot. I wanted to keep it relatively stock. I didn't want to feel heavily modified inside, but I wanted to be able to use it to camp and overland really efficiently. And so I made my own overlanding setup here in the back, which involves this sleeping platform, and my wife and I have spent over 100 nights easy in the back of this. And so the way we have it set up, obviously right now it's set up just for daily driving, but we can fold the seats forward, we can load our fridge, everything we need to camp in here, and it's been phenomenal for that. It's got a drop-down table on it, which I really like. It just makes it a really easy rig to live out of for long periods of time. My wife and I, for a long time, did lots of trips out of the back of this for 2 weeks at a time, traveling all over the west of the United States, and we have thoroughly loved it. Now, there's a few things that I don't love about this. The first one is I don't love the independent suspension. So it's got independent rear suspension, and I really don't like that. The independent front suspension, that's no big deal. So I don't mind the independent front suspension. All Monteros have independent front suspension. And while I wish there was a solid axle model, it's not the end of the world. The rear is what gets me though. There's just not enough flex to feel like I can confidently hit obstacles that are really big, really challenging trails. It just feels like it's a little more fragile, and I've really struggled with the alignment of this. And so even though I started with this platform, I knew that I wanted to venture out and explore the other Monteros. I knew that this one was kind of the odd one because of the independent rear suspension and because of the unibody. I knew that even though I really liked this and I started with this, I wanted to move on to other ones. Nowadays, this is still something we adventure in. It's our road trip vehicle. Every once in a while, I'll haul my snowmobiles or my dirt bikes with it. My wife and I still camp out of it, but mostly it's my wife's daily driver. So she drives this thing around all the time, and it's a great family car for that. But like I said, I wanted to explore some other ones. So with that, we'll move on to my next newest one, which is the one I'm currently building right now. And that is this one right here. This is the newest one, and I'm going to do a whole build series on this. So I'm going to go into way more detail of what we're doing with this. This is my 1999 Mitsubishi Montero, and it's the winter package. It's a 2.5, so I've got a 2 and a 2.5, and this is kind of like the hybrid between the Gen 2 and the Gen 3. It's got a more modern motor, it's got fender flares. This is my ultimate Montero, and so that's why I'm going to be building it. I'm going to be doing a ton of stuff. Right now, it's relatively bone stock. I'll tell you guys the full story on this later, but I bought this thing, no title, no catalytic converters, no alternator, no battery, no fuses, no hood, and I have got this thing running and driving, and it's been my daily driver for the last month. It's only got 150,000 miles on it. Right now, it's very simple. It's completely stock with a torsion bar crank, and it's running 33 by 10.5-inch tires on a little wider offset wheel. That's it. I haven't touched anything else on this, and I'm going to be building this thing to the exact specifications that I want to. I've been dreaming of building a 2.5. I've just been looking for the right one, and this is it. I bought this thing for $500 sight unseen, and I'm so excited to see what it turns into and to take you guys along with that build. Now, I mentioned that this is a 2.5, but I also built a Gen 2, and this is the Montero. If you've been following along, this thing has been one of my favorite rigs. After moving from the Gen 3, where I knew I didn't like the independent rear suspension, this was kind of the dream. So I bought this one, and I bought it for the Gambler 500, which I've talked about in some other videos as well. I bought this thing running, driving, clean title for $400. It had a massive oil leak from the oil pump, like not like, haha, you've got an oil leak, like you couldn't drive it. It was just gushing oil. So I took this thing out, I resealed the motor, and then later on, I actually threw a rod, I spun a bearing, and so I had to rebuild it from the crank up. So this has a fresh rebuilt motor on it, and when I did that, I decided I was going to go all out. I was going to do armor, gears, lockers, transfer case gears, body lift, lift kit, and I wanted this to be the ultimate rock crawling Montero, and that's what it is. This thing has been phenomenal for me. So it's got a couple upgrades. You can see the ADD front bumper with aux beam lights in the front here. It's got a winch. This is a Harbor Freight 9,500 pound winch. That thing's been more than sufficient for me. It's got a 2-inch suspension lift. Now it's just torsion bar cranks in the front, Old Man Emu heavy duty springs in the rear, but it also has a 2-inch body lift. So I do have a 2-inch body lift right here that I put on when I did all these modifications so that I could fit these 35s a little more easily, and it makes for a lot more space in here. It allows it to tuck it up really well. I'm running a little bit wider offset wheel, and I have a little bit of a spacer on here, and I think it fits great. It's just about half an inch past flush, and that's perfect for me. I also have these Jeep sliders that I put on there, and these things have been put to work. I hit these pretty often, and they have held up super well. I love the way they look. They're nice and tight, close to the body. In the back here, you can see one of the more extreme modifications I made. I actually cut the frame right here in the back. So you can see right there, the frame was here and that was flat, and I've actually cut it, and then I've adjusted it with the body lift to suck the rear part of the frame up to move things like the gas tank further up, to move the rear bumper up so it's flush with the body, and to move the rear hitch area up as well. So that's super helpful for ground clearance. I've also Reiner lined the fender flares, and this thing has a bunch of dings and dents in it. It had a bunch of stuff when I first got it. The paint has been chipped and faded the whole time, and so I knew I wanted all the money to go into the mechanical of this. I wasn't worried about keeping it pretty. I just wanted it to work, and this thing works. It's got 4.9 gears out of a Montero Sport, a 2003 model, so it's got the all-wheel drive, which means that the front is connected all the time. It doesn't work on a vacuum actuator anymore. So I have the ASIN hubs that work really well for off-roading. You can engage them and disengage them. I've got a TRE front locker, the factory locker in the rear, and then I have transfer case gears from Marks over in Australia, and this thing will climb up a wall. So because I knew this was going to be an off-road rig, I kept it pretty simple in the back. I have a similar setup to the way that I have it set up in the Gen 3, but this one is a lot more primitive. It's not as comfortable to camp in the back of this, and because there's not this kind of rear compartment right here where you can store stuff, a lot more things end up on top of this. So this is a really good one-man camper. It's not really good for the family. So this has been a good single-man rig for me. When I go to Moab, when I go on these kind of big adventures and it's just me, it's really comfortable to camp in here, but it's not a great family rig. Also, with all the things I've done to make it really good at off-road, it's just not that comfortable to daily drive. I have driven this every single day, and I set it up so that the cockpit is still very user-friendly. So I've got things like this aux beam switch panel in here to really clean things up, and I've tried not to make it too cluttered in here so that it's still a very usable daily driver. I just don't want it to be something that I can only use on the trail. So with that being said, this one's great, and I wanted to see, can I make a rock crawler that I can daily drive? And the answer is yes. This thing's been phenomenal for me. However, I think I'm ready to move even further into the rock crawler world, which brings me to the Mighty Max, which I'll talk about at the very end of the video. But that leaves me with a spot where I want to build another Gen 2, but I want to be somewhere in between the Gen 3 and the Montero, and that's where the Gen 2.5 comes into play. So this is my 1995 Mitsubishi Montero SR that I call the Montero, and this next one is actually a 95 as well. So it's hard to believe that they're making this rig and the Pajero Mini at the same time. This thing is so fun. If you haven't seen my series where I pick this up, buy it sight unseen in Phoenix, Arizona, drive it almost 2,500 miles back here to Bozeman, Montana, I have had so many amazing adventures in this thing. I bought this completely sight unseen, didn't know what I was getting into, and I have fallen in love with this platform. It's turbocharged, it's stick shift, it's weird, it's right-hand drive, and it's actually just a great car. I daily drove this all winter, and I was shocked how capable it was. It's got four-wheel drive, it's got ABS, it actually sticks to the road. This is a very usable car. You can fit it into all sorts of tight spaces, and it's fun to off-road. In a recent video, I put a lift kit on here to correct some of the suspension that was sagging, and that's really good, except for I need to get it aligned, and I do want to put a little bit wider tire on it. And this is kind of mid-build right now. So I've got the lift kit on it. I'm working on fitting up some aux beam lights because the lights that came on here, they weren't very bright. I wanted something that was a lot brighter. So I've got these just mocked up right now. And I'm in the process of figuring out how to make it sound as fun as possible. This is a fun car. I'm not trying to make this serious. I'm not trying to keep it pure. I've already taken it to Moab and I've off-roaded it. So I've done things like I've added a pod filter and now it makes very fun noises. And other than that, I've just kept up with the maintenance. I plan on taking this off-road, still adventuring in it, still daily driving it. This has been such a fun car for me. But you guys have already seen all sorts of stuff with that. I want to keep it nice enough that I'm not like trashing it, but I also think this is such a fun car. I don't want it to just sit here and be a pavement princess. I want to take it out, I want to wheel it, I want to go on adventures in it. So this is my 1995, both of these are 1995s, which leads me to the next one, which is my 1990. Now I just picked this one up, and it's hard to even say this is mine. I bought it because enough people sent it to me. I thought, I've got to pick this up. I got to see if I can get it running. And I made a video about this. I bought it sight unseen for $600. I threw an ECU in it, and we were doing donuts in a parking lot about 15 minutes later. So super fun. Since then, I've done a lot of things to it. And this one is going to be for sale. I'm not going to keep it. It's fun, but I really don't have a need for it. I have 7 Monteros. So I've done a few things to it since you guys saw it. One, I deep cleaned it. That's really helped. It turns out it's actually in way better condition than I thought. I got a new windshield in it. That was pretty spendy, but definitely worth it because the other one was cracked. And I removed all of the terrible window tint. So now it looks like a fishbowl, but at least it's not purple. That was really driving me nuts. I did a little more work underneath the hood to make it a little more reliable, but it's only got 133,000 miles on it. So the transmission, transfer case, differentials, engine, all those seem to be in pretty good shape. So this one's gonna be for sale as soon as I get the title for it. I filed for a title here in Montana. As soon as it gets here in the mail, I'm ready to sell this. I've been driving it around almost every day. It's great, it's reliable, and I'm excited to pass it on to someone else. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a whole lot more to this. I think someone else is gonna get a hold of it and they'll be able to customize it and modify it how they want. But I love these Gen 1 long wheelbases. I think they look really good. This one's a little beat up on the body, but I'm sure somebody will find it and say, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I just want something that runs reliably, and this will be a great option for them. And last of this group, at least, I have one more truck to show you after that, but it brings me to Little Blue. So after I bought the Gen 3, I started figuring out that these existed. This is my 1994 Mitsubishi Montero. And they didn't even have designations back then. So it's not the RS or the LS. I think this is just a Montero. And I have loved this thing. I think I've owned it for about 6 years now, and it is the exact opposite of the Gen 3. Body on frame, it's carbureted, stick shift, there's no electronics in it. And this one taught me so much about older cars. I got to do a lot of the modifications on it. I bought it looking pretty much like this. So the paint has been faded the whole time. It's got this cool patina on it, but it doesn't actually have that much rust. And so it's got a little bit of stuff right here where you can see something shining through. It does have a rust spot in the rocker here, which I've actually sealed with Gorilla Tape just to keep the moisture out. But this one has been such a fun little wheeler for me because this was a daily driver for me, but it never had to be a road trip car. I never had to camp out of it. It could just be fun. So I did some very simple modifications to it. I cranked up the torsion bars just like I've done on the other Gen 2s and Gen 1s. I put an Adelleaf in the rear that gave me another 2 inches of lift. I custom built these sliders. I did actually hit somebody in this car. We had a slide on some black ice, and so I had to replace the front bumper, and I went with this Cherokee bumper, which I think really accentuates the body lines. It keeps everything really boxy and tight. I've got these Nightlight Amazon special lights on the front here. I think they fit the look really well, but they're also like modern lights, so they actually throw a lot of light, which is nice because these don't do a whole lot. The motor that's in there is relatively the same. I've got a Weber carburetor on it, some long tube headers, which the Weber carb does a little better. It's definitely less complicated. The long tube headers do absolutely nothing for performance. They sound marginally better. But other than that, I haven't done anything to the drivetrain. The interior I actually swapped with another car. So when I bought it, the interior was a little ripped up. I bought another long wheelbase Montero and I swapped the seats out of it. And so the seats are a lot nicer. They've only got like 100,000 miles on them. But I've tried to leave everything as stock as possible because I want to jump in this and feel like it's a time capsule. It's like going back in time. It even smells old in there. Everything's manual. It's just a really cool car. And before we had the Pajero Mini, this was kind of our date car. We'd go out to town in it. We'd drive around. Every year or so, I would take it off-roading. But it was such a different experience going off-roading in this than like the Gen 3. It's so much less capable because it's carbureted and you've got to fight with the gearing and the low power, but it was still fun to take it out and explore with it. And last but certainly not least is the Mitsubishi Mighty Max that I've been working on for a little bit now. And this one is in a different location because it doesn't run or drive. It doesn't have a transmission drive shaft, doesn't have an engine transfer case, none of that. It's currently in the process of awaiting an LS swap. So I've got it completely gutted. There's nothing in here except for the front differential and the exhaust system, but all of this is going to be coming out in the next couple weeks to make room for that 5.3 LS. And the idea here is to build the ultimate rock crawler. I've made a couple of videos about this, so I won't belabor the point, but basically I'm looking to do tons and 40 or 42 inch tires on this, which is going to involve a lot of stretching, cutting, a bunch of custom modification, but I'm very, very excited about what this project will become. It's a very simple Mighty Max. It's just the 2-door, so it's just got the bench seat. It had the 4-cylinder in it. Very, very basic car, but I have big hopes and dreams for it. I don't know if I'm going to keep this topper on it once it becomes a rock crawler. Chances are good that I'll be modifying the bed, maybe even doing a flatbed to stretch that rear axle back so that it has a good departure angle and so that the wheelbase is correct. I'm not 100% sure exactly how it's going to end up, but I'm very excited to get working on this project. And it's not forgotten, it's not abandoned, but it is on the back burner with all the other things I've got going on right now. It's just a big project. So once I have the time, once I can find the resources to actually commit, I'm gonna be stripping everything out of this engine bay, dropping in the LS, making tons of room for the NV 3500 transmission, which is gonna have to fit in here, or maybe a 4L80 at some point. I gotta figure out all of this stuff. It's going to be very fun. It's going to be very challenging, but I'm really excited about it. So that's the last one. It's not forgotten, but it is over here in this corner because it's such a big project. But that's my 1988 Mitsubishi Mighty Max. So there you go. I know the Mighty Max is not technically a Montero. I guess neither is the Pajero, but they're all of the same thing. There's all 7 of my Monteros. And like I said, the reason I want to shoot this video now is because this is probably the last time all of these are going to be in the same space. And that's because I'm selling quite a few of them. Now, I'm not getting out of the Montero thing. However, after spending almost a decade in this space, I'm pretty sure I know what I want, and I've really narrowed it down. Like I mentioned with this white 1991, I know I'm gonna get rid of that one. I just bought it to fix it and to pass it on to someone else. But the other 2 that I'm getting rid of might surprise you. The first one is actually this little blue Montero. I've had this for 6 years. I have loved it. This car is amazing. I may never be able to get another one like it. However, with the Pajero Mini and the other ways that I'm going in this channel and with my family, it just doesn't make sense to have it anymore. It's fun, but it mostly just sits here. If I was gonna keep it, I would do a motor swap to something with EFI. Our winters get really cold here in Montana, and it's just not that much fun to drive. It also doesn't have ABS, and it's not that safe to drive in the winter. So it's super fun to have, but I think it's time to pass it on to someone else who's gonna love it, just like I did when I first got it. And in a lot of ways, the Pajero Mini is kind of scratching the itch that I had for a fun, small, blue stick shift Montero. So between the two of them, it feels really hard to choose the Pajero Mini, but either way, I think that one's ready to go. And the other one that I'm getting ready to pass on is the Montero. Now, I have spent maybe 1,000 man hours building this car. I've done some amazing things. I've taught myself basically how to off-road. I've done some incredible trails, gone on some incredible adventures. I've rebuilt the motor from scratch. This is how I taught myself how to rebuild motors. And to pass on this one is really tough. However, with building the Mighty Max, I think I'm going somewhere else in the off-road world. And if I keep putting this through the things that I want to do in the off-road space, I'm gonna wreck this thing. But somebody else is gonna appreciate it. This is gonna be far more capable than they could ever need. And I'm ready to let this one go so that I can reinvest the money in the Mighty Max and in the Gen 2.5. So right now, that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna shrink down the collection. I'm gonna isolate some of my funds and my resources so that I can build things like the 2.5 to be my perfect, ideal Montero. I'm gonna pass on these amazing builds, hopefully to someone else who's gonna like them. But it's still hard to see them go. It's still hard to look around and look at how many hours, how many fun experiences I've had in all of these and think, I just can't justify keeping all of them. So there you guys go. There's a tour of my Montero collection. I never meant to collect Monteros. It just keeps happening to me. And even though I own 7 right now, I think I've owned like 30 or 40 of these in my time being involved in Monteros. A lot of them I have parted out. Some of them I've fixed and I've sold to friends. I just love them. I think they're great. I will continue to probably buy them and fix them and sell them, but I'm starting to get a little more refined. So hopefully you guys liked this video. If you have any more questions about any of these builds, I have done all sorts of videos on each one of these, some in more detail than others, and I'm really excited to take you on a very in-depth build series of this Gen 2.5. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.